right. And we are live. All right. Welcome back, everybody, to On the Line. This is the fourth episode of the podcast where we talk about everything kayak fishing. So I'm Tony. Joining with me here today is Tim, my co host. And today we're going to talk about growing the Kansas kayak anglers community. And on today's show, we're going to talk about our membership drive for the Kansas kayak anglers. We're going to talk to Eric from Melvern Marina and welcome him as a new sponsor for KKA. And then we're going to talk to Scott, a longtime supporter of KK and member, and also Peyton, a brand new member for this year. Tim, you want to talk about membership?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're doing a membership drive actually right now. Is it before February 15th? Or is it February 15th, correct?
Yeah, end of day, February 14th. So
yeah, end of day, February 14th. We're giving away 5 prize packs with full of tackle, and anyway, there's like 7 prizes that you can win. And the membership cost is $50. So some of those prize packs are $70. So right there will pay for your membership by itself. That's one thing that's going on right now. But if you pay the membership before the 15th of the month. And the membership, as far as what we're about over here at Kansas Kayak Anglers, is a community-driven organization. We're big into, helping each other out, just being part of that community. But basically, if you love to fish out of a kayak, we'd love to have you. So this year we'll be hosting 7 tournaments in total. You can enter one of those tournaments for free. You don't have to be a member. You cannot enter the championship. You have to be a member for that. But you can enter any of the other 6 tournaments, and it's on us just to get you, see if you like it, if you don't like it, what have you. So that's something that we are going to offer. Some of the lakes that are on the schedule, we try to choose lakes that were pretty good smallmouth and largemouth combinations. Fish size mattered on some of them. I mean, some of these lakes have some of the biggest smallmouth and largemouth that are in the state of Kansas. So you have an opportunity to catch possibly a PB, a fish of a lifetime, when you become, when you're even tournament fishing. You will need to have like a life vest at all times, a catch board, a valid fishing license, and so forth. But yeah, we would love to have you sign up, and yeah, be a good time. Some of the things that why you should join. Probably one of the top ones for me would be, in 1 year of fishing, it's probably equivalent to 5 years of fishing normally, like a weekend angler. So if you go in and fish one season, just fish one season with us, you will be a much better angler, and you will learn so much from so many people. New baits, just different techniques. It's just amazing what you can learn in 1 year. You'll meet new friends, and you also get like codes for 10% off here, 5% off here. It's just a great deal all around. The membership is $50 a year, like I said. And you can find all the information where he's showing you up on the screen right now, www.kansaskayakanglers.com. It is a pure volunteer deal, so we all volunteer our time, and I mean, we love to do it. And so we need, sponsorship as well, because it's a pure volunteer situation. So with that, we'd like to introduce our sponsor for today, Eric from Melvern Marina. Tony, you want to take it over?
Yeah, so we'll bring Eric here up. There we go.
That was a lot of talking.
Eric's owner and proprietor of Melvern Marina. What's that?
Go ahead.
from Melvern Lake Marina, and he's going to be a sponsor this year for Kansas Kayak Anglers. He's also going to let us hold our award ceremony there at the Melvern Lake Marina, which is our season opener on April 12th, if you forgot. So thank you for joining us today, Eric. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Really, really excited to be part of it, and I'm glad you invited me in tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're looking forward to getting to know you. Um, so what are some of the things that, or sorry, what are some of the things that got you? How'd you get into the marina business to start with?
Well, growing up, I enjoyed a lot of the outdoor things, like a lot of kids do, coming through the Boy Scout program and camping and fishing and hunting. My grandparents owned a nice uh, a property with with a stocked pond, and we did a lot of hunting and fishing growing up. When I started working um, in the real world, I suppose I started with Kmart, and I worked in the sporting goods department there, and I absolutely loved it, and I just went to college for a little bit, but retail got in my blood. It was a lot nicer having paychecks, and I ended up working my way up with Kmart, and switched to Walmart later on in life, and lived in several different areas of the country, and mostly just running a lot of the sporting goods departments there. And so I've always enjoyed sports retail. And when I met my wife Jamie, her parents had owned the marina uh, for since 1989. Melvern Lake Marina has been in place since 1974, and they'd owned it since 1989. And I'd always talk to her about, hey, you know, see if your folks want to retire, we'll buy them out. And it took several years because it's a big commitment. But I finally convinced her, and we ended up purchasing the marina in 2017. And they stayed on for a couple of years and helped us learn the ropes a little bit, and then we totally took over in 2018. And so um, always just imagined having my own place where I could kind of call the shots, and um, buy things that were maybe more specific to where I was located, as far as tackling that. And it's still a learning process. So, but that really was the biggest motivation there to take over the store.
Do you
Very nice.
so you guys offer a lot of services. I'll be honest with you, more services than I thought. One of the things that I was actually excited about is I didn't even think about going out there to rent a boat. This is like 4 or 5 years ago. My family and I did a pontoon boat down in Table Rock Lake.
Uh-huh.
They just had a. They've actually asked me a few times, like, "Hey, can we do that again sometime?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." They just want to go tubing, right? So,
Sure,
um,
sure.
and just go on a pontoon boat for the day and make some sandwiches and have fun. So I might be seeing you here once it warms up enough to get a pontoon boat. But I know you offer those, and you offer some kayaks and stuff like that. But what else? What else do you offer?
Yeah, we do. We do. The boat rental have actually been fantastic for us, and I don't want to disparage anybody from owning a boat, but there are, when you start getting into a part of your life when your kids are doing baseball all the time and this and that, and maybe boat ownership isn't great right at that time. Boy, renting a boat sometimes is pretty nice. You don't have to insure it. You don't have to haul it. You don't have to store it anywhere. You just show up. We put you on the boat, and all of ours include gas, so even when you come back, you can just hop off and go on your way. But we do have a lot of fun with that. It also presents a lot of opportunities for fundraising. We loan out a lot of boat rentals for silent auctions and prize baskets and that sort of thing. So that's been kind of nice to get some folks out to the lake with that. Um, yeah, in addition to that, we've really been trying to focus on a lot of our food options. And Tim had mentioned earlier that he had a wrap last year, and last year was a tough year for us for food. But um, it we were closed for a couple of months after we got struck by a tornado. But
Yeah.
that's given an opportunity now to revamp our kitchen, and so we do offer pizzas and paninis. Along with the wraps and cheeseburgers and hot dogs and that kind of stuff. So um, it's a nice opportunity there. We're the only commercial venture on Melvern Lake, and so We try to have a little bit of everything that somebody might need. We're not necessarily a destination store, but we do like to pride ourselves on, being kind of a replacement store. If you forgot, your toothpaste or your deodorant, we have that kind of stuff available. My wife does our embroidery, so all of our hats and our sweatshirts and things are all done in house. We've been having a lot of fun with that, and that gives us a little freedom to make different choices there. We have was undoubtedly the absolute best boat mechanic in Northeast Kansas, and maybe in all of Kansas. The guy that runs our service center. We are an authorized Mercury service center. And Mike's been there since high school, and there's not anything that he does not know about boats or service, or so that's been a real nice draw. We also offer dry storage up on the hill. If you want to just park a camper or a boat or even a kayak, and have it close to the lake. We do have a boat ramp that the Corps of Engineers operates just to the north of us. So quick and easy access. You don't have to. We have a lot of folks that'll leave their boats there or their campers, so they don't have to haul both back and forth each weekend. So,
hey, Eric, I have something to add to that. You
Yeah.
said your wife does that. Does she make custom shirts also and hats? Like if I was to bring her a design, or is that just for yourself?
Yeah, no, we'd be happy to do something. Yeah, that's
Okay.
kind of again why your logo kind of caught my eye. It'd make a
Like
nice
something like this, maybe.
nice looking patch. Yeah, we don't do any screen printing, but
Yeah.
we do it. The embroidery. So
Okay.
in fact, she made these little
Oh yeah.
state of Kansas. It's a state of Kansas patch with our logo in it.
Okay.
I love that.
So yeah,
That's neat. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you guys offer a lot, and a lot of us kayakers. I not myself. I don't have a boat, but I know a lot of us have boats as well. So, you guys are definitely looking for some boat maintenance because it seems like that's a common thing when you own a boat. That and a camper, right? Always
We
working.
may
on
have
it.
another
Yeah.
brother.
Now Mike
So,
does say that
that's
the best maintenance for your boat is to use it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
kind of going into that, I know you said you kind of give back to the community with boat rentals, which is really awesome that you donate that your time, and you're also, helping us out with the Kansas Kayak Anglers. And
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's probably why you decided to do it as well, because you just like to give back to the community and people like that. But what
I
made you
do.
decide to say
It's obvious, it benefits us for people to get outside and to get outdoors. We had, I tell you, we had an absolute boom during COVID. I had mentioned earlier that our slogan used to be the best kept secret in Kansas, because we just, since we're the only commercial venture on the lake, there are no residences around the lake. A lot of folks just didn't know. And during that period, when the best place to, stay 6 feet away from everybody was to get out on the water, we absolutely had a boom year and saw a lot of folks that we hadn't ever seen before. A lot of folks, I didn't even know there was a lake here. So that's one of the things that really drew me to wanting to get more involved in groups like the Kansas Kayak Anglers. And maybe I shouldn't admit this, I'm not much of a bass fisherman, just because I just haven't done it that much, and I'm not that good at it.
We fish for everything, so yeah.
Right. It's kind of like golf, I guess. You
Yeah.
just want to keep trying.
Yeah.
But I feel like we've been so crappie heavy for so long.
Yeah.
Because we have so much vertical jigging, and I'd really like to expand some of that and get some more knowledge about what kind of stuff I need to carry in the store as far as, things for more for bass fishing. So I'd like to expand our inventory, a little bit with things that local people are looking for. So, that was a big plus. And again, we get a lot of guys, coming out, and I don't know if they're in your group or not. I'm going to assume they probably are, but, I think it's neat, getting out on the kayak and getting one with nature and doing the fishing. And, and I've had a few guys that'll come in and hook into a big old blue. They just went kayak surfing around the lake, with this big blue cat, pulling them around. But, it's something that's always intrigued me. And we didn't want to get into a lot of the Eisenhower State Park takes over a lot of the walleye and the bass motor tournaments for us. And
Yeah.
I was really happy that you called, because I think it's a nice opportunity for us too. So
Yeah.
Well, we're definitely looking forward to it. So I know you kind of, we talked about why, what makes Melvern Lake great and stuff, but I found it to be honestly, I never really fished Melvern Lake until like 2 years ago, and I started fishing it because I didn't know about it, and I've just been doing tournaments for a couple years, but I know why I like Melvern Lake, but why do you think that it's why do you think it's a great spot for kayakers too?
I think the opportunity to get out somewhere on the lake where nobody else is and just kind of be by yourself a little bit. Even I like to tell motorboaters, even on the holiday weekend, you can always find somewhere to be off by yourself. There are so many coves, there's so many little fingers to get up into. We've got a lot of riprap that provide a lot of nice cover for different species. I mentioned before when we were chatting, we're the only reservoir in Kansas that has smallmouth, largemouth, and spotted bass. And so you can catch a variety of different species there. And we all live in Kansas, and it is the windiest state in the union. And there's always, since we sit east-west, there's always a chance to get into a cove and kind of get out of some of that wind a little bit. So that's what I like. My wife and I, we do kayaking. Now we've just got, cheapy little kayaks that we rent, but they're fun, and we enjoy that. And so it's been a good place for us to go kayaking.
Nice.
Yeah, it's great for mental health. I can tell you that much. Just getting out on the water in a kayak. It's just great. I love it.
How about pushing one out on the ice the other night? Just put right on the ice.
Yeah, we did actually. The main body of the lake opened up yesterday.
Did it? Okay.
Yeah, we have a few boat ramps that now have some access. So
really?
A lot of the coves are still frozen in, but
okay, good to know.
Good to know. I do want to mention to anybody watching right now, if you have questions for Eric, Tim, myself, or any of the guests we're going to have on, feel free to drop a comment, and I'll put it up there. So if you have questions, feel free to ask them. So any tips for anybody out visiting Melvern Lake for the first time, like places you think best to start with, or it kind of depends, I guess, what you're fishing for, but any tips?
Sure. There are a lot of opportunities. Obviously with any body of water, you should become familiar with some different things, but there's an area along the north side. The north shore of the lake tends to be the shallower side. We've got some areas in between Turkey Point and the Eisenhower State Park, kind of in the middle of the lake, where it's 3-4 foot deep for a long time. They kind of refer to it as the flats. A lot of trolling in there for walleye and that type of thing, and that breaks off into a lot of those fingers as well. And the main tributary of the lake, Turkey Creek, which comes in there at Turkey Point. The south side tends to be a little deeper and a little rockier. Most of our watershed, in fact, all of our watershed, is non-tillable land. It's almost all pasture land, so we don't have a lot of runoff. We tend to maintain clarity pretty well, so you can always expect at least maybe 2 to 3 foot clarity, which is decent in Kansas. So yeah, depending on the species, you can go north side or south side. There's 6 different boat ramps, and I don't know if most of your folks portage in or
we use the ramps.
Use the ramps, yeah. Okay.
So
there's always a nice opportunity.
Before,
yeah.
So, thank you. So how can we always want to make sure that we're doing what best we can to be, we see all these videos on TikTok and people and fishing around docks and things like that. And how can we be good stewards of your docks and your marina and make sure that we're following appropriately what we need to, the rules and things like that. So
I really, really, really appreciate that. And so do the slip customers.
Can we ask you
Been very
something too?
fortunate. What's that?
What also what ticks you off? Like, like, hey, like, hey, no. Also, sorry.
Right.
Let me
Um,
interrupt.
I really, we get a lot of guys that go up and down the docks and they're casting into the docks, and that's fine. I'm not a big enforcer of the water drip rule. I know that there have been a lot of marina owners that particularly out west, that were having some issues, and it's like anything else. I mean, you're always going to have some guys that just kind of want to puff their chest up a little bit and do what they're going to do. But we've been pretty fortunate. I guess my only pet peeve maybe is if somebody's already fishing there, because we offer dock fishing. We charge $6, for folks to come down and fish the docks, and we have an indoor dock. And if somebody is fishing in a slip already, maybe skip that one. If there's boats docked at the back that are fueling, and you come by, you don't need to see how close you can get. But again, I mean, that's one out of every,
Yeah.
199, people that are going to do that. So, and that's the other thing too, I tell you, and maybe it's the nature of kayaking, but it always seems like, I don't know, kayakers are more relaxed and maybe a little more considerate. So yeah, we always welcome them around. So, I mean, we welcome any fisherman around, but yeah, we'd like as much courtesy as, as we hope to extend to anybody else who's using the water.
Yeah. We seem to on occasion get overran by boats that come in fast on kayaks, people on kayaks. So
yeah, I imagine. And we are and around our marina, from the boat ramp all the way around, even to the exterior of my jetty wall. We're a total no wake zone there. And we have an older family crowd, I guess. And so we don't have a lot of folks that are coming and cutting out and, cutting up and doing a lot of, trying to swamp people or anything like that. So that is one of the nice things about Melvern too, is it's, because it's out there a little bit, it is a little more of a, we don't have a whole lot of party coves and that kind of thing. So folks are pretty chill. If they're going to tube, they're going to go down, find a cove and just tube and stay out of people's way. So
nice.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. Is there anything I missed or anything you want to add for anyone else listening?
No, I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to the 12th. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm anxious to see how many guys you get out and what kind of fish are caught. Again, bass fishing's a newer thing for me too. So, I'm excited to see that. And if you have any cyclists, I know a lot of kayaks are pedal driven now. We also sponsor a bicycle race in October that we use as a fundraiser event for the city of Melvern. They do different projects and stuff there, and so along with the outdoor theme, we if folks can come out and kayak in the spring and come in the fall for the bike race.
Very nice.
Is that bike race in this town of Melvern, or is it around Melvern Lake?
No, we actually call it Lap the Lake. Yeah.
Okay.
And we start in our parking lot. We've got some food trucks and
Awesome.
live music and that sort of thing. And we had close to 100 cyclists last year. And
Nice.
we have a 100-mile race, and just going around the lake once is 27.5 miles. So
Wow.
That's pretty
I can barely drive that. I don't think I could ride a bike.
right. Yeah.
I actually used to bike Tim and I actually both used to bike and a little bit, and then I haven't taken my bike off the shelf since I got my pedal kayak 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. We pedal up the waves and then back down the waves.
There you go. There you go.
So just 5 fish. Yeah.
Gaz, he's one of the directors of Sunflower. He does the Just 5 Fish YouTube channel. He has a question for you there. It says, "Hi, Eric. What are some of the biggest challenges of operating a marina?"
Oh boy. Well, that's a good question. like with any small business, there's a lot of things trying to have everything that somebody might need, trying to anticipate every need that somebody might have. I absolutely hate when I have to, if somebody comes in and they're like, hey, I need a 30 amp converter plug for my camper, and I carry those now, but sometimes it takes somebody saying, hey, I need this, and then we have it. And then sometimes you might have to sit on that inventory for a while because it may be 2 or 3 years again before somebody else needs that. But trying to anticipate a lot of those needs. We driving traffic can be a problem sometimes. We're in a very small community, and Osage County is a very small county as far as people wise. And so, we get a lot of draw from, the Kansas City metro area. But if those folks come out, they're driving past 3 lakes in order to get to us. So we're pretty happy, and we accept the challenges as they come. But I'd say probably finding customers and then trying to anticipate what those customers need.
Thank you. I do want to add to for inventory wise, feel free to post something. You'll probably get 100 different answers, but when you're talking about bass fishing, things like that, what are some good, top lures, things like that, if you wanted to stock some more things like that, even we'll actually have a podcast, I'm sure, with the winners. We actually had a podcast. The second podcast was the winners of Melvern Lake last year. And, feel free to ask in our community about, what we think would be some good stuff for, the general public to use. So I'm sure
Nice.
I'm sure there'll be 100 different answers of what things people use, but
right.
Guys run out.
Yeah.
They stock up.
Well, I think that's all the questions. Did you have anything else to add?
I don't. Again, I'm excited. I appreciate you reaching out and getting this partnership going, and hopefully we'll have many years of fun kayak angling.
Sounds like a plan.
Thanks,
yeah, you can hang out, but we really appreciate you. We really appreciate you supporting Kansas kayak anglers, and we look forward to. I'm sure you'll start seeing probably about 2 weeks prior to that. You'll probably start seeing a lot more kayakers out there. So into March, beginning of April, you'll see a lot of, probably myself included. I'll probably be out there fishing, pre-fishing, looking for the fish and seeing what they're doing.
All right, we'll stop in and have a slushie.
We'll stop in.
All right.
Yeah. Todd, who's the director of KKA, he says thanks for the partnership, Eric.
Yes.
So,
hey, fantastic! Looking forward to it. Thank you, Todd.
All right. So next, I'll turn it over to Tim, and we'll bring on our next 2 guests.
Yeah. So next we're gonna dive in what it means to be a Kansas kayak angler with special guest Scott Reese. Hey, Scott, how's it going?
Good. How you guys doing?
Scott, how you doing?
Doing good. And Peyton Hatfield. Peyton, how's it going?
It's going great.
Good. Yeah, no worries. So, you want to go ahead and kick it off, Tony?
Sure. So we'll start with some questions. We'll kind of go back and forth between both of you, but I kind of want to mention too that Scott is. How long have you been an angler now with KKA? Because KKA is it 3rd or 4th year? KKA or 5th?
This will be the 4th year, and so I started the same year KKA was formed.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So
Scott's a seasoned vet, and Peyton, this is just going to be your first year doing KKA. Did you do any last year? Any events?
No, I didn't pitch any KKA last year, so it'll be my first year doing any at all.
All right. So Scott, let's just get started. How about that? You want to do that, Tony?
Yeah, go ahead, Tim.
All right. So what got you into tournament fishing, Scott?
Well, so before I had my kayak, I was a float tube guy. So since I was about 12 or 13 years old, I've had a float tube, and that's how I fish primarily, with some occasional bank fishing. But a few years ago, as kayaks became popular, I started looking into it. It really sounded fun and interesting, and kind of a way to expand my fishing. And cover more water and more lakes. And so as I was kind of researching which kayak I wanted to get, then I started seeing about kayak tournaments as well. I had never been part of a tournament scene before, boat or otherwise. And so it was intriguing, sounded like a lot of fun and a challenge. And so, so even before I got the kayak, I was pretty interested in certain that I wanted to do the tournament thing. In fact, before I got my kayak, I think I actually called up. It's probably the second guys when I saw a tournament and asked if I could join it in my float tube, and they said no. I'm not sure how I would pull it off, but I found a kayak, luckily the one I wanted, and that was in, I think, February of that year, and then that was around the same time that KKA formed. And so I was one of the first times I had the kayak out in the water. I ran into Justin Maples.
Uh-huh.
And actually, I think someone you just had on recently, I think it was maybe Derek, was saying the same thing, that's how he found out about it too. He ran into Justin. So I ran into Justin and we talked for a while, and he was telling me about tournaments, and I had a lot of questions about how to get started, because really it was hard to find out much about it at that time, because I think we had like 4 different groups in Kansas that were kind of more regional. So I had a hard time trying to figure out where to even start. He told me about doing online tournaments, and I think my first one actually was an online monthly, I think probably through KBF that he was doing.
Okay.
And of course, and again, I think probably even before I got the kayak, I was watching some of John Morse's podcast with his Behind the Reel channel. And so learning a little bit about it. And that's how I first watched, when they first did the merger basically of all those different groups into KKA. I watched that podcast and sounded like a great idea. And I was in. And so I did that one monthly and then signed up for my first live one that April at Minelands.
Excellent. Yeah, that's what we kind of wanted to start, something like what John had, because man, after the tournaments, I miss like the interviews. I miss what baits they used. I just was like, we need to do something to get back to it, because we missed John on talking about stuff. So yeah.
Me too. I think for me that was huge. That first year is watching those, even going back and watching some and listening to guys about their day and what they use and their decisions, and you can learn so much from that. And plus it's just fun to talk about fishing. So yeah, I missed that too. So I was really excited when you guys decided to do this. I think that's great. You guys are the perfect guys to start this back up. So
we like to talk.
Yeah, I would say the next best thing to actually being on the water and fishing is getting off the water and talking about your day fishing with everybody.
So true. Yeah. John was kind of our inspiration for this. So if you're watching this, John, thanks.
I still watch him, the podcast, the old one. So
yeah, I go back and watch him myself as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So I guess how did you hear about Kansas Kayak Anglers then? Like, did you kind of told us a story? You just like,
I'm not sure. Like I said, Justin told me about the groups. We had SECA and the Northeast guys and Flint Hills, and we had Air Capital with John. And I think it was through his podcast, because I remember watching that one where he and Josie and Jacob all came together, kind of announcing the formation of KKA. So that's how I first learned about it. And they announced the schedule and how things work. Because again, I had only done that one monthly online, so I was very, very new. So that's how I found out about it. And again, it sounded like a great deal to merge everything together and kind of not compete with weekends and scheduling tournaments against each other, and hopefully increase the numbers and such. So I still kind of see KKA as the main group in Kansas, although I think there's still a lot of room and certainly a place for the smaller groups. I know SECA still does their schedules down there, or Sunflower with the weeknights, and then Neil's starting the Kanza group. So there's still a lot of room for the smaller groups, and someone that wants to stay a little local or do something a little more laid back. So, so I'm glad we have them as well, and all support each other really.
Excellent. What do you think sets KKA apart from other organizations or other kayak tournament series? Do you think?
I'm sorry, what was that? You cut out a little bit.
What sets KKA apart from other, groups, fishing groups?
Yeah. For me, it still is the main source of information to get started in this. Our website's great. If someone hasn't checked it out, it has besides all our tournaments, it's got information to how to to find out about the Sunflower Group and the other groups here in the state. So I think it's the best place to start to learn about it and to find out about it. And I still kind of see KKA as our main Kansas kayak fishing group and tournament scene as far as the biggest organization. So that's I think kind of the advantage is the organization and the information you can get from one place.
Okay. So
I really thought you were just going to say because you were in it, but I thought you were just going to because Scott does it.
don't let this guy fool you. This guy's a hammer. Like monthly tournaments, this guy,
Yeah.
100 plus inches every month, 5 fish for a bass.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Scott, you had a hell of a year last year.
Yeah.
So.
Well, everybody gets lucky.
Uh-huh. So what's your favorite tournament experience or story, if you have one that you'd like to tell? Like what's something that stands out in the past, whatever it may be, funny, sad, exhilarating.
So I was kind of looking back over them when you guys asked me to do this. I thought I still felt kind of like one of the new guys, honestly. I still have a lot to learn, I think, and still make a lot of mistakes, but I'll pretend to be a veteran tonight. But so I was also kind of surprised. I looked over. I've signed up for 60 some tournaments in the last 3 years. Some of those are combined events or monthlies, but I really didn't feel like that much. And I was looking back. Really, there's 2 things that kind of stood out for me, and that I think kind of exemplify why I like KK and the club. And one of them was my first year. We did online tournaments, and the first one I signed up for, ended up doing well. I broke 100 inches for the first time and ended up winning that month, which was fun. But it was really the next month that stands out. The next month, I don't know if you guys know Dakota Payne from down in Southeast Group. Young kid. He hadn't fished much anymore because he's busy with school and things, but he's a hammer, very good. So we start out the month, and he within the first week knocks out like high 90s in inches right away. Before most of us had even posted a fish. So it was almost over before it started, or it seemed like it. And by the middle of the month, he had 100 inches. But slowly kept fishing and adding fish through the month, and ended up hitting 90 and then 95. And it was the very end of the month. In fact, it was actually before that, he messaged me. I didn't really know him that well at the time, but he messaged me. He said, "Man, you're making me nervous." He thought I was hiding some fish. And I told him, I said, "Man, I think you're safe. I think you got this." I said, "I'm going out next week to try one more time." So I was out the second to the last day of the month fishing, and I really thought it was a long shot to even catch up with him. I needed at least 2 20+ inch fish. So anyways, I was out that morning, and I actually ended up catching a good one, like 20 3/4. And so I took a picture of it and sent it to him, messaged him. And he came back right away. He's like, "Oh man." And he kept messaging me the rest of the day, asking if I caught any more and how it was going. And so at the end of the day, I was about to head back, and he messaged how it was going. I said, I think I'm done. I'm heading back to the ramp. I think you're safe. And right after that, I see a bunch of bass busting on shad in that cove I was in, and scooted over there for a few minutes. And when it's like second cast, it got a 21 incher. I took a picture and messaged him again and said, "You're not going to believe this," and sent him that picture. And that actually ended up tying us both at 100 inches exactly. And The interesting thing was actually all 5 of our fish were exactly the same.
Really?
Yeah, exactly the
How do
same.
you do a tiebreaker on that one?
I don't know. Well, we weren't sure. I think it
Yeah.
would have went to the 6 fish, and I think I had it, although we weren't sure. So I head back in, and he keeps messaging me. He's like, "You're going to make me have to go out the last day of the month." He goes, "I only have like 40 minutes tomorrow morning before class that I can go out." So I said, good luck. So long story short, I went next day. I checked the results in the afternoon. So he had a cola 19 incher to increase. He went out that morning. In fact, I found out he skipped class in college. Went out that morning and caught a 19.5. Ended up winning. So he won the month and the big bass. I didn't win, but it was still one of the most fun months, just the back and forth in the competition to do that. But that's one. One more quick one was the year after. We did not do monthlies in the KKA, but we did it with Heartland Group in Nebraska. Yep. And then they had the interesting side bet of putting the state teams together to fish for the entire season. And so Neil Perrick contacted me and Matt Scuchis, and we made our Kansas team. And we fished that entire season. It was a grind, fishing the entire season for your best 5 fish for all 3 guys for the entire season. And before that started, Neil put together a group chat for us. We were the Yak Bastards. And he put together a group chat so we could start talking back and forth. And, we talked all the time about what we were doing, strategy, baits, how we thought it was going to go. All through the season, Neil kept us motivated because it was a grind. You were never out fishing where you weren't in a tournament, basically. Yeah. And so he kept us all motivated through the year. And we ended up winning that for Kansas, which is shout out to our group. But the thing that made that so much fun was that group chat. And we still have it today. To this day, there's not a week that goes by that we're not talking back and forth about baits or fishing or wishing we were fishing or Matt trying to get me to buy some other big swim bait that he posts and sends me. So, that's what really, doing well in a tournament, being in the money or getting a plaque is fun. But to me, those kind of things, just the experiences and relationships and the friendships you make really that stand out for me.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
When's the last time you've been fishing, Scott? With the weather,
I went out about a week ago. Prior to that, it'd been I don't know, a couple months or more. But I'd been itching to get out, and I actually got a new transducer because my old one was kind of acting up, and found a new transducer cheap that I put on the boat. So I really wanted to try it out. The only open water was Lacine. Of course, yeah, it is for me about almost a little under 3 hours. But I had a day to go out there, and of course I'd seen Clayton smash them out there, but I just wanted to try out the transducer. So I went out there for a few hours. I caught a few, but it was good just to be back on the water and get out there.
Nice. So what advice would you give new members like Peyton coming into KKA? And, is there anything that you'd say to him that kind of, or any new members,
Yeah, so I think there's a handful of things, and most of these are from my own mistakes I've probably made along the way, and most of us did. But if you already have a kayak and you're comfortable with how it's set up, that's a big step. But best thing you can do is get out and practice measuring and taking pictures of your fish and using Tourney X, I think, is what I would recommend. That takes a lot of practice. Those little guys don't always cooperate and want their pictures taken like we want. So if you can get comfortable with that, knowing what you're doing, how to work Tourney X, I think that's huge. I think also maybe doing an online monthly before you do a live one is good practice. So you can kind of do it on your own time and learn how to submit things and do the month. Watching things like this or watching the videos like we talked about. I mean, you guys have YouTube videos. We got, Clayton, Blue Basser 86. A lot of the guys in the club have YouTube videos, which are great to watch just to see how they manage a tournament day and what have you. I like Greg Blanchard. I don't know if you guys watch his channel.
I do.
it's great because he really does. He's a good guy. He does a great job of explaining what his thinking is, why he's doing things during a tournament day. Plus, it also shows the other aspect I'm talking about, his good group of friends, and he shows a lot of the before and after part of hanging out with people. So that those are good things to watch. During the event, I would say keep it simple. Definitely just stick to your strengths, your confidence baits, and just go fish. Have a plan, loose plan, but realize it's probably going to change and be flexible. But it's not a time to go out and try something new just because you think that might be what's going to win the tournament. Fish what you know and what you're confident in for sure. I'd also say get a routine for getting on the water. That's been huge for me because if just even if you write it down in a checklist so you don't forget something, and if you do it over and over, it'll just become second nature. Because when you get on tournament day and you're setting up in the dark, you might be a little nervous, kind of excited. There's a lot of other people around that you're probably talking to. It's easy to forget something and get out there in the water and you don't have your net or you don't have your measuring board or what have you. So get a kind of checklist and routine. That'll help. And the last thing I'd say is after the event, go to the awards ceremony and the meetup.
Yep.
I think, regardless of whether or not you think you're in the money, everybody gets off the water and we're tired and hungry and hot, and you might have a drive ahead of you. People who have family responsibilities, but going to those meetups afterwards, especially as a new guy, that was huge. Just to meet people, ask questions. Everybody's more than willing to help and tell you about their day and what they're using. You'll learn tons just to go to those and listen to what people used and did well and what didn't work and what have you. So I would highly encourage people to go to those if they can.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I think that's something every single person said that we've had on the show so far is go to the award ceremony, talk to people, and you're gonna learn something. I mean, I don't think I've missed but like maybe one.
Yeah.
I always go because I know I'm gonna pick up some information that I didn't know before.
Most of the time,
I
it's
think
like,
every time
really?
I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh man, I shouldn't
That
have put
bait,
that
I
bait
threw it
away.
and it didn't get a single bite on it. So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Or something like
they listen to everybody's story about the big one they almost got that would have.
yeah. Every tournament, I have a
that's
big
usually just
7-pounder that I lost.
Yeah.
that's usually just Tim, and he got a
Well, I put a
GoPro. He got a
GoPro now,
GoPro
so-
just to prove it.
Yeah, I
Just to
buy
prove it, he got a
GoPro for
GoPro.
that reason. How many I actually lose in a tournament?
Yeah,
So, but
you
yeah,
can watch
is
my
there anything
videos.
else?
I don't really catch much.
Yeah,
You just
right.
don't stick the hook. No. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Scott? Before we go on to Peyton here.
Yeah, something you said earlier that I wouldn't have thought when I started this. Like I said, I mostly fished alone. I fished the same one or two lakes all the time,
Yeah.
and thought I was doing okay. I was catching fish and doing pretty well. But the guys in the club are very good anglers. You'll learn so much from them, and doing tournament fishing, you'll learn. I guarantee you'll make you a better angler. You'll learn tons just from doing that. Get you out to new water, places you've never been, never fished, learning new techniques. So I would highly encourage anyone that's thinking about it, just do it because you will absolutely become a better angler doing these tournaments. And thanks to you guys. Like I said, I really appreciate you guys starting this back up, and Austin, our president, and Todd, a tournament director, for what they do to keep the club going. Definitely appreciate their work. I don't know that kid. Ask him what his PB is compared to mine.
Yeah, Jackson, what's your PB? That's pretty good. I like that.
Yeah, I was
It
kind of
definitely has your
wondering
wit.
when my boys were going to show up with some.
That's
That's
pretty
awesome.
good. Well,
That might be the best comment of the year.
Yeah, it is.
Oh my!
And he is a 10. Oh man, a 10 for real? Double digit.
That's new to me.
Was that backwards? Was it 01?
There's some debate about it in the house, but we think it's somewhere north of 5.
Yeah. Very nice.
That's awesome.
Tony,
Love
you
that.
want to
That'll
take
be my
over?
favorite comment for the year, I think.
Yeah, we'll highlight that one for you.
Thanks so much, Scott.
Yeah,
I've
great.
enjoyed this. Peyton,
And
I know you've been waiting patiently and enjoying the conversation. So, Peyton, I know you did Sunflower. We did Sunflower together last year. That's how we met. And but what made you decide to go up to the Kansas Kayak Anglers this year? I know sometimes it can be harder when it's weekends and stuff like that. But why'd you decide to do that?
I'd say, I had an awesome time fishing Sunflower. That was the first tournaments I'd ever kayak fished or fished really at all. Tournament wise, I fished a lot when I was a kid with my dad and stuff, but got into kayak fishing, I guess, a couple of years ago, and kind of similar to what Scott said. I fished a couple of lakes a lot, and I could always, catch fish there, and it was fine. But I was having a hard time convincing myself to branch out, and then you kind of end up in the well, there's a million lakes around here, so how do you know which one to go to, or where should I go? So Sunflower kind of gave me that well, I have to go fish here, because whether it's someplace I've never been before or whatever. And so that was great. It was a great experience. I think also, to kind of echo what Scott said, it kind of feels like KKA is sort of a step up in terms of competition, and there's nothing wrong with Sunflower, but there's a difference between a 3-hour tournament and one whole day or 2-day tournaments. Is just kind of a different beast. And so really just wanted to challenge myself some more, get out and fish again lakes I haven't ever fished before. There's definitely a lot on the schedule I haven't fished before. So really just challenging myself. I mean, found out early. I mean, how I found out about Sunflower was Derek's my neighbor, so we're in the same housing place over here. So he's literally a 5-minute walk away from my house. So found out about Sunflower through there. I know he's been fishing KK. So overall, just seemed like a step up in level of competition and seriousness, I guess, and just really I like challenging myself. And so this seemed like a new challenge to take. I'll still definitely fish some Sunflower and stuff this year, but really trying to focus on KK.
Very nice.
What was the first time you started doing kayak? When did you get your first kayak? Start kayak fishing?
2 years ago, I guess, 2023, the summer of 2023. And then last year I just had pedal only, and so pedal only is fine unless there's a 10 mile an hour or more wind, and pedal only you're in for it for sure. So and as Eric said, we're in a pretty windy state, and a lot of these lakes set up east-west to really catch that wind too. So but went to a motorized kayak last year, and then just like I said, just really got into kayak fishing a lot. I mean, my dad was a sponsored semi-pro fisherman when I was a kid, fishing boat tournaments. He had a Bass Cat sponsorship and fished all over. I grew up in Arkansas, so Arkansas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Texas, etc. He fished all around there. I fished Fork when I was a kid, with him, and went on trips to go fish there. So really he was ate up with it, and I got really ate up with kayak fishing, and just kind of it's the next progression. So I really love it though. I'm having a blast. Before this I was working on setting up lighting for my trailer for my kayak, so getting ready for that for this year and stuff like that. So I'm really ate up with it, and I'm excited to fish these tournaments.
Did you figure out what I did on my kayak is I didn't do the rechargeable, the 7-way plug. I just put a battery on it and then charged the battery on occasion.
That's what I'm doing. I got off-road pod lights basically that have clamps that go on my crossbars, and then I'm just going to put a battery box that holds the battery that's waterproof on the crossbars too. So you can it's all there, and I can take the battery out and charge it. But I know that doesn't pull that much. So I have a 12 amp hour battery. It might last me the whole season. So
yeah, probably pretty close, unless you leave them on like I did. A few tournaments all day.
These are pretty bright, so I don't know if I'll forget, but we'll see.
We'll know
Did
which
you?
boat ramp we're at.
I was gonna say too. I really enjoyed looking at your storage you made. You went. I know it's kind of a deeter from what we're talking about, but was that a box from Harbor Freight?
Yeah, so last year I was looking. So I upgraded trailers last year to like a jet ski trailer from like a small flat trailer I bought from Derek, and definitely was like trying to get some stuff out of the bed of my truck and just so it's all together. And I found there was another guy that I found on Facebook Marketplace that had already, it was like an iron ton trailer, like ladder rack that he had already extended a couple feet, I think maybe, to like for his kayak trailer. And he didn't fish any tournaments or anything whenever I met him, but he had it on Facebook Marketplace for like $75. I got it in the fall. And then this winter I got the rack attached, and I looked at some options for storage, maybe a truck box to go up there or something. And then I remember I just literally had bought, this is a very telling story, that I just randomly had like a Harbor Freight case. I actually have two, but one is green and one is black. So I want to get another matching black one, but had that, and then had seen some stuff about people using like those cases for like overlanding and stuff. So there's a bunch of videos on YouTube of people like adding gas struts to it so it stays open. So I did that. And then use these like U-bolts to attach it to the ladder rack on the trailer. So I have some storage, like I can fit my motor, a bunch of tackle, catch board stuff in there already. And literally I filled it up and I was like, oh, I need another one of these immediately. So as soon as I had it on there, it was full of gear. So,
Eric's probably thinking we're crazy right now.
But yeah, I mean, having a kayak with a motor that, can hold up to 650 pounds on a jet ski trailer is a little bit insane, but it is cool too. So.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool. So I think actually might do that one myself. So I might call you up and say, hey.
I'll send you the links to the gas strut and stuff and the hardware I used to mount it to the rack. And it was, I mean, I had the case and it was like $10 for the strut and another like $10 for the hardware or something. So it was pretty easy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool. I wish, like I said, I wish they made 8-foot boxes like that.
Oh, I know.
So we could put.
I've been thinking of every possible way to like figure out because it's like the perfect width, you know what I mean, and depth for rods, but it's just too short. And nobody makes like, Yakima makes the one, but it's like $600 or something for the rod locker that they make. And then there's I know Boondocks is coming out with an even more expensive option than the Yakima one, but yeah, it's. Rod storage is a pain, and PVC is so expensive that even those like tubes you get into a couple $100 for those like lockable PVC tube conversion things they have. So there's not really a cheap way to get your rods on your trailer.
I found a $75 toolbox, aluminum toolbox, side box, is what I ended up doing. So
nice
for mine, but just so you guys can see what he's talking about.
I got
kind of what this right here.
Just like this. Yeah, so just like that, but I just have it mounted on my trailer instead of like a roof or an overlander. But same thing, gas struts to hold it open, and then there's plenty of space. Like I said, my NK 180 fits in there with a ton of room to spare, and a bunch of tackle and stuff fits in there too. For me too, I unfortunately got ate up with the big swim bait bug too, so I have like 8-foot. An 8-foot box doesn't cut it because I have 8-foot rods. So it's an unfortunate thing to be ate up with, but it is what it is.
It's dangerous.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I just bought one, and I just got like a 7.6 rod. So
good deal. If anybody is curious, like iRod makes a great 7'6" like swim bait rod. I think it's up to 6 ounces, 2 to 6 ounces or something. The Sniper Swim, perfect for a kayak too, not too long. It's a great rod. And it's pretty cheap too. It's like $150 MSRP. You can get it if there's a 20% off Tackle Warehouse sale. You can certainly use it on that. And so, I'm a rod snob. I have Megabass rods. I've tattooed the links, and $150 like iRod is awesome. So.
We're doing a beginner here.
Yeah. You're a beginner, Peyton. Jeez.
I'm a beginner when it comes to tournaments, but I also I get ate up with anything I get into. So it's just how it goes. It's just the nature.
Yeah, I think a lot of us do. I think a lot of us kayakers or a lot of DIYers and too, right? We build stuff on a trailer, we throw stuff on our kayak, we build boxes, crates, different things that hold our cameras. I've seen all sorts of different stuff. It's actually pretty cool. I like DIY myself, so I've done probably too much DIY stuff on my kayak, but
the weather's been so
that?
bad. I haven't had anything to do besides sit inside and think about things to do for my kayak. So, all the lakes are frozen over, and Lucene can be super crazy on the weekends whenever you go out there, whenever every other lake than 200 miles is frozen over. So, one of those deals.
So I'll move us on here. Any specific lake that you're looking forward to the most? Maybe one you haven't fished yet, or one you've heard good things about, or in KK schedule?
I think I'm looking the most forward to Wilson, just because I've heard good things. I think everybody I know that I've talked to that's been out there has had a day out there. I know it's not every day, but certainly time of year specific that when there's some great fishing out there. And I'm excited for the shootout. It's a hard decision because we fish Shawnee a ton in Sunflower, so I'm really confident there. But we had a heck of a day at Pony too, and I can see how that'd be a great place. So, and those are far enough apart, it'll be hard to choose which one to go to. I think both in the same day would be a little bit difficult. So I'm looking forward to that. But honestly, I love fishing new lakes, especially now that I've gotten used to it. I mean, I went to Melvern sometime in November for the first time. I didn't catch anything. I saw a bunch of fish, and they were super deep, and I wasn't necessarily prepared to catch them at that depth. But the water was really cold too, so not surprised. But there's a bunch of good spots that I found trolling around there, and excited to fish out there. I think one of the things I definitely want to do better is just generally at the smallmouth focused tournaments do better. I'm pretty solid about catching a largemouth in the grass, but a smallmouth on a pile of rocks is a little harder for me personally. So that's kind of one of my focuses this year is to get better at the smallmouth lakes.
You should definitely not follow Tim around. No.
I'll just put on a strap and just let you drag me around wherever you go.
Oh, I love smallmouth. But hey, Scott, that's one thing I did not ask you. What is there any lake that you're looking forward to this year that on the schedule that stands out to you that you're excited about?
I haven't thought that much about it. I always like Wilson for sure, but that might be tough that time of year there. So I'm a little worried about that.
We talked about that. We're like, woo, we're pushing into that October. It's going to be a little rougher. So
yeah, the way it went for the Heartland guys last year, I don't know. But as far as new lakes, the Roadrunner, I probably will go up to Pony Creek. I've never been there. That looks like it could be a good place. And maybe is it Cedar Creek, one of the Roadrunners down the southeast?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think I heard that's a pretty good lake, but I never really fished it just off the bank.
I've never been there either, so I bet it looks interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the only lake that I haven't fished in a kayak on our season this year. So
yeah, it looks a lot like Kreitzer, and I like Kreitzer a lot.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. So Peyton, you got any goals have you set for yourself this year for your first tournament season at the KK?
Yeah, last year in Sunflower, my goal was to place in one, and I did. I think that's going to be my goal this season too, is be in the top 3 at some point in the season. I know there's a ton of great anglers in KKA, and most people here have fished these lakes a ton. I moved to Kansas City in 2008 from Northwest Arkansas. Didn't really start fishing until, I guess, COVID, and then fishing again as an adult until COVID. And then I was beating the bank and going places where it was easier to fish from the bank. So there's a ton of these lakes I either haven't ever been to or went one time. And so, it's hard, but I think that I like the challenge of it, to be honest, and figuring it out is the fun part. Figuring out what works. So yeah, I think, if I can place in one, I think that would be a great success. I would say the other one is just get a limit, right? Would be a great success across all these lakes. There's a ton of different types of lakes, across this whole tournament season. So getting a limit would be sort of my like base level goal, is just like catch a limit at every tournament I'm at. And then, stretch goal is if you can finish top 3, that'd be awesome.
Hey, I did it my first season of fishing with KK. I got a top placement, and if I can do it, surely anybody can. That's all I gotta say. But yeah, you should. I think I've seen you fish. I think it could definitely happen for you.
Yeah.
Like the right day, the right fish. I think for me, it just happened to be like it was fishing to my strengths that day.
Mhm.
And you get that one lake that fish to your strengths, and like you're like, oh, this is easy, right? When everybody else is like struggling, and it's just that's a little bit of luck and just be persistent. So
Yeah, and part of my goal too is like to get out to Wilson. I've never been there before, so I want to go sometime between, in the spring at least, to just like look at it. I mean, it's a big lake, just like most of these are, so tons of options to launch from. And even in a motorized kayak, some of these lakes, to go from one end to the other is kind of a pain. So finding out where's a good place to launch and all of that before tournament day, going in blind is kind of hard. So yeah, trying to practice and make sure I have time on all of these at least to figure out a couple of things would be great. But yeah, just trying to get limits is really my goal.
anything else you want to add for all of our guests?
No, I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait to get out on the water. Can't wait to meet new guys. I think the persistent part of this is, my time fishing Sunflower, the post tournament, huddle up and talk about it was fun. And I think I'm looking forward to that, meeting new people, learning new stuff. I mean, it really is to me just a constant ability to learn. And I agree that even 1 year of fishing, weeknight tournaments, I learned a ton more than the year that, I guess really half of a year fishing nighttime tournaments at Sunflower. I learned a ton more than the year that I was on my own fishing. And it's been great to have, talk about stuff, what worked, what didn't. I mean, I think, from my experience with my dad fishing boat tournaments, he was stressed out a lot. I think there's a lot of stress, and everybody in a boat in a tournament, no matter what, thinks they're the next Jacob Wheeler, I think sometimes. So kayak guys seem to be very chill for the most part and helpful and welcoming and, so all of that. So it's been great to have that so far. I'm just looking forward to more of that.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know Scott until a couple years ago. I didn't know you until last year. I mean, unfortunately, I've known Tim my whole life because we're brothers. But I've met so many interesting people and great people, and the camaraderie is just like one of my favorite parts. That's actually why I keep doing it, and it's actually one of my favorite parts about doing this podcast too. Is just all the interesting people we meet, and everybody's so helpful and friendly. And when we're out there competing, we probably keep to ourselves a little bit more, but like I've had people like, man, you haven't caught any fish, like try this, try that, right? Like in a tournament. And I'm like, okay, I'll try that. So yeah. Anyway, so thanks guys.
One thing I was going to say that
Scott,
I think you guys are probably the perfect example of this, but your fishing buddies, the competition between your fishing buddies is kind of like between siblings. Like I truly want them to do well. I just want to do a little bit better.
Yep.
Yeah, one of my low key kind of secret goals for this year is to beat Derek once. So we'll see how that works.
We will cheer you on. We will cheer you on.
Derek really came alive last year. The first year I was doing it, him and I were always neck and neck. Derek and I were, and then last year he really took off, and he did really well last year. So kudos to him. But
at Sunflower,
that's always my goal.
Tournaments, he was fishing behind me and won. And so I was just like, it's one of those deals where he was behind me for a long time. We fished the same spots and he won and I got skunked. So that says everything you need to say there. So.
Yeah. I think every conversation for the Kansas kayak anglers, Derek, they revolve around you. So, I feel pretty good about that.
Well, not many
he always
people
gets mentioned. He always gets mentioned. Him and Clayton. Clayton always gets mentioned too. So
when you swim across
well,
the
you
river,
want to wrap this up a little bit, Tim, and then I'll
Yeah.
kind of close out here.
Scott, do you have any words of wisdom for new members? Like, we're get more members in here. Do you, like if they're watching? Is there anything that you'd say? Like,
Words of wisdom. Yeah. Watch Clayton's videos.
Steal all the spots.
Go back and watch his videos. No, I just do it. I mean, like I said, it may be a little intimidating at first if you haven't fished tournaments before or you're used to doing it alone, but that's where I came from. And you'll find out very quickly everybody's very welcoming and friendly. And like Peyton said, I haven't come from the boat side of things, but I've heard from so many people that have that say it's, if you've come from that side and for whatever reason left it, and the kayak guys are a different breed. Everybody's, we're competitive, but everybody's still friends and willing to help. And I think you won't regret doing it and trying it out.
Excellent. Peyton, what would you say to someone that's on the fence about joining, that's a new person, like, some anxieties, or what would you say to someone that's on the fence about joining that they're like, well, I just don't really want to, because what would you say to that?
I mean, if you want to come out and fish one before you join, obviously we have the ability to do that and just do it. I mean, I think that getting in those habits and practice and how you do stuff. And, I think, Scott, I was laughing because, you get in those tournament jitters whenever we were fishing on Hillsdale for the Sunflower Championship. I didn't put the pin into my motor, so just flopping around back there as I pulled off. And I was like, oh, let me paddle to the shore and reattach my motor. So, but, it's a little nerve-wracking, but I think that you'll find that the atmosphere itself is not nerve-wracking and the people are laid back. And, it's one of those things where I think if you like being competitive and you like pushing yourself, even in a minimal way, and you like fishing and you like, kayak fishing specifically, it's great to try. And, if you're already kayak fishing, getting a catch board is really the only thing that you would need to go from kayak fishing to tournament kayak fishing for the most part. So pretty small bar there. And it's just a ton of fun. And I'm really looking forward to my first year with KK. So.
Okay. And one thing
last year at Perry, last year at Perry, I got out when we were doing Sunflower and pushed my kayak out, and I always paddle out a little bit before I put my motor down, and went to put my motor down and realized it was still in the truck. So that happens to all of us.
Or forget sunglasses.
Yeah, that was funny.
Something.
Yeah.
One thing I'd say to a new guy also is that, I can't compete with some of these guys and these rigs that they have, but when it's your day, it's your day. And you don't know when that day is. I mean, everything just clicks for you, and it's just your day. So you can easily take out anyone at any time, or they can take you out. But yeah, just because you're new doesn't mean, you're not going to win. So, and some fisheries fish better for you than others too. So, but well, guys, I want to appreciate, coming on here. I really appreciate it. Eric, thank you so much for being a sponsor. We really appreciate that. And Eric has waypoints for $50 a piece, but you got to stop in his kayak or his marina to get those for Melvern. So, but yeah, Tony, do you want to take over from there? Or?
Yeah, I really appreciate it, Eric. It's been fun. Enjoyed talking to you tonight. Thanks for helping the Kansas kayak anglers. And like I said, you'll start seeing a lot of us here in about a month or so, month and a half, as we all start
looking
making our way
forward
out
to
to
it.
Melvern to pre-fish. Yeah. And anybody that's watching or will be watching in the future, make sure you stop and say hi and tell them thank you in person.
Absolutely.
So you can check out Melvern Lake Marina.com. You can go to his Facebook page. Make sure you like that, follow it. If you need anything while you're out there, he's got it. If he doesn't, let him know so he can maybe have it in stock for future. And if you have ideas for good bass baits, for his marina there, make sure you let him know. And then Peyton and Scott, if you haven't signed up, I know Peyton, I've seen you signed up. Scott, if you haven't signed up, make sure you send your membership fees to Todd. And anybody watching, make sure you get your membership fees out there. Go to the Kansas Kayak Anglers page, Facebook page. If you have questions, like seriously, don't be afraid to ask us, ask anybody. If you need help getting the working the PayPal thing, because sometimes it kind of is weird. Feel free to ask anybody. We're always here to help. And we look forward to the 2025 season. And I think that's it. Tim, do you got anything to add?
Nope. Just get on there and get registered so we can give you those grumpy fish bait boxes. And yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And we appreciate everybody for watching online. Subscribe.
You're welcome, Derek.
Yep. You know where he's going to be. That guy right there will be at Melvern for sure.
Smash that button. All right. And 3, 2, 1, we are out. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yep.